So we're going to take a look here at a student example from the capstone from last year, 2022. And this was one that was pretty well done. So we're going to go through and talk about kind of the scoring of this. One of the first places I actually like to start to get a feel for what's going on is actually jumping right to the citations portion, which is the last category on our rubric. So if we look, the works cited is very thorough. There's lots of stuff here. So students certainly did their research. A lot of these are actually images that they've cited, which is great. They've pulled that information. Um, they look like they have some pretty good sources here: Encyclopedia Britannica, Science World, the American Council on Science and Health. A lot of really good stuff. So in terms of their quality of sources, I think that's really good. There's a couple of them that look like they could use a little bit more information. For instance, this one right here is just, the kind of a name and a URL. Up here, again, name and a URL. Probably need a little bit more information for those. Um, it could very well be a case of just needing a little bit more guidance and talking about less is more in terms of this stuff, so they don't have to put all of the information that they have on there. So if we looked at the rubric, I'd say this one is probably a pretty solid three in terms of the cited sources and their LA formatting. We'll take a look at their, the quality of their writing and everything like that in there as we go through. So we jump back to their homepage. Lots of information here. It's well done. We have captions for our images, which is great. Some titles here that are really nice. They have some statistics in there. They have some stuff, in red font to call out the stuff that they found that was important. If we go here, some more background information talking about how, the increase in the population is making the issue worse. Same sort of thing. We have this embedded population counter, which is a really nice feature. Some more images, again, with captions there. And the nice part is the citations in the captions are really great. So we look at this. They talk about the actual fossil fuels being their natural resource and how that's an issue, and they're tying crude oil into plastic, which is great. They talk here in this section kind of about a little bit more background about the problems. They talk about World War II. Got some images here, and the images are nice because they relate to what they're talking about. So they talked about how, the United States and China, and how we used to send plastic waste over there, and they show a picture of Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. So they're definitely kind of on the right track there. They talk about Africa. They show a map of Africa. It's embedded here in Google Maps. It's a great feature. Some images here from people in Asia. It's very well tied in to what we're seeing here in terms of what the problem is, and they even go so far as to talk about where plastic even kind of came from. So background information, very thorough. From what I can tell, I don't know this student as well, so it looks to me that this is not plagiarized information, that this is pretty solid. So I would say that we're looking at probably, I would say probably a four in terms of that portion of it when we look at the citation, so that we're kind of stuck between a three and a four. You guys know your students well, so you can jump to wherever you need to jump to on that one. In terms of curating information, I think everything was relevant, reliable information. It looks like everything is accurate here. I didn't go into great depth researching right now, but they have a solid idea of what's going on with that. They describe a couple of the current solutions, which is nice. They go into some of the information there, and then they get into their own ideas. So they want to build a device that can scan plastic items and see, how to recycle things and things like that. I think for a student in sixth grade, this is a really well designed idea. They talk about how it's going to be powered. They go into some of the management of it, possibly getting some funding and things like that. Some of that is definitely logical for a sixth grader. We may look at it and be able to address some things like, maybe not exactly there, but it really makes sense and it definitely addresses the issue. And they're directly targeting how do we kind of reduce the amount of plastic here. They do a nice job talking about the constraints for their materials. It's not super thorough, but it's good. I think that's a solid amount of detail. The one thing that is really missing. From the description of their product here is in regards to what is their success criteria. So, what does this mean? If their product is successful, what does that do to the amount of plastic? And it really doesn't really mention that hardly at all. In terms of like, if this works, we're going to see less plastic on the beaches, or we'll be able to recycle this much more, or whatever it's going, or even we've sold this number of these little watch devices. Um, so being in that section, if we look at our designing a tool, object, process, or system, we're good there. If we look at demonstrating understanding criteria and constraints, your constraints are really good. I would say probably a 4 on that. The issue was that the success criteria for success really is pretty much non-existent. Like there's a slight implication of that, so I could maybe go with a 2 there. So overall, that category might average out to be a 3. But that's really the only thing that I feel like this is missing. In terms of communication, I think is very strong. I think the style of this is not too casual. It's definitely goes in and describes what the issue is and talks about things. I think the conventions look good. Again, I'm not an ELA teacher nor a sixth grade teacher, so if there's portions of there where you agree or disagree, you can look into that. I think the digital tool is actually good. I think this choice for the Google site is nice. I pointed out earlier that they've done some things that were good. So they have definitely some headers in here, which are appropriate to the issue. The images they've chosen all fit. They've put the captions here. There's a nice color scheme. It's very readable. They've done some other work here. Let's see if I can find it again, where they've embedded some of the uh, no, I can't find it. They've done some work where they've embedded some of the other information in there as well, where they had the counters and things like that. Oh, it actually might be here. It's spinning now and loading, but yeah, they have the world population counter, so they have that piece in. They had the map in there embedded about Africa. So really, I think they've done a nice job, even here where they have the images that you can scroll through in the little image carousel. I think in terms of using the tool, it's very well done. So overall, if we look back at our rubric here, the curating using information, I think I could give that pretty confidently a solid 4. Designing the object, tool, processor, system, I think that works very well. Again, I'd probably put that at a 4. The demonstrating understanding criteria and constraints, probably going to be maybe like a 2 or a 3, just because they didn't describe what the success of this product would look like. That's really the only thing that's a glaring miss in the project. And so it's probably like a 2.5, because their constraints are really good. They talked about that well. But the other part was really missing. So it's going to average out somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't lose sleep over giving this a 3 or a 2. So, if you thought that someplace else they were, on the fence as well, you can hedge one way or the other. Clearly, I think it's very clearly communicated. So I would definitely give that a 4. We just talked about digital tools, so I'm probably going to go a solid 4 on digital tools. And then, the citing sources, like I said, that in the beginning, that it was a little bit shaky in terms of having all of the information that we would like, or most of the information that we'd like in MLA for it. So maybe we hedge between a 3 and a 4 there. So, when we look at our criterion constraints and citing sources, you can kind of, pick your poison, go up one way and down the other, somewhere in that ballpark. So overall, averaging out a pretty solid project when we look into the details of this.